I'd like to call the Mentor City Council meeting for September 17th, 2024 to order. The invocation tonight will be given by Councilman Kirchner.
Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this day. Help us to use good judgment for the business at hand and guide us in wisdom with a continuing sense of truth and fairness for the community we represent.
Okay, Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner?
Here.
Mr. Krieger?
Here.
Mr. Marne?
Here.
Mr. Blake?
Here.
Mr. Donovan?
Here.
Mrs. Dowling?
Here.
Mr. Freeman?
Here. Okay. Approval of minutes. Council, you are in receipt of the September 3rd, 2024 work session minutes.
Move to approve?
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Okay, Council, you're also in receipt of the September 3rd, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Move to approve?
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Public hearings, we have none tonight. Tabled legislation, we have none. New legislation, ordinance number 24-0-064.
An ordinance to authorize advances of funds and revisions to appropriations and declaring an emergency.
Ken,
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Malinowski, please.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. Members of council, this ordinance does two things. Firstly, it authorizes a temporary cash advance out of the city's general fund to a state grant fund in the amount of $40,000. And it secondly appropriates the necessary funds to spend out of that grant fund. This is related to a subsequent invoice under your consideration for an electric vehicle bus purchase. Thank you. I recommend approval.
Council.
Move to suspend?
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Move to approve?
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
All right, ordinance number 24-0-064 has been approved. Ordinance number 24-0-065.
An ordinance determining to proceed with the improvement of streets hereinafter mentioned with the termini designated by supplying such streets with electric street lighting and declaring an emergency.
Ken,
Thank you, Mr. President, and having passed your resolution of necessity for another year to maintain our street lighting, you have these next two pieces of legislation to finish the job. Mr. Malinowski?
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. As mentioned, the next two ordinances are the necessary steps to both proceed with the assessments of street lighting and also to levy those for tax collection year 2025. I would recommend approval. Thank you.
Ken, I've got a question. I think you and I talked about this with property values going up, and these are assessed to the person's property value. What change does that bring about? What we collect the same, right?
Right.
When a person's property value goes up, we're not collecting more.
Correct. So we always adjust the amount of assessment per $1,000 evaluation based on the amount that we need to collect, which is the exact amount necessary to maintain the light service. In this case, it's 90 cents, which is down from, I think, was it $1 last year?
$1.15.
$1.15, so significant reduction, but again, our residents won't pay any more just because their property valuation increased.
Good, great to know. Council?
Move to suspend?
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Move to approve?
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
No.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Ordinance number 24-0-065 has been approved. Next is ordinance number 24-0-066.
An ordinance to levy assessments for the improvement of various streets in the city of Mentor by supplying said streets with electric street lighting and declaring an emergency.
Move to suspend?
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Move to approve?
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance number 24-0-066 has been approved. Next, we have ordinance number 24-0-067.
An ordinance accepting and authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Myers Equipment Corporation for the purchase of one Thomas Jowley electric school bus and declaring an emergency.
Ken?
Mr. President, Mr. Fowler, please.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. Members of council, September 4th, 4 bids were opened and were submitted. Through an evaluation process, the Myers Equipment bid was determined to be the lowest and best bid, and we recommend approval of the purchase from Myers.
Counsel?
Suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Move to approve?
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance number 24-0-067 has been approved. Ordinance number 24-0-068.
An ordinance establishing the necessary accounts within the Police K-9 Fund for the benefit to be received from Irene G. Green Endowment to the City of Mentor, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
And this is good news, Ken.
It is. Thank you, Mr. President. So this is actually a very timely, we had a very nice celebration put on by our police department earlier this evening to honor the service of Achilles, one of our canine dogs who died prematurely. And what this resolution, this ordinance does this evening is allows us to establish accounts within the current Fund 171, which is our the fund that funds many of our canine activities and the costs related to purchase of the canine and supplies, training, and that. So Ms. Irene Green of Concord Township passed away earlier in 2023, and in 2002 she established the Irene G. Green Charitable Remainder Trust, which establishes dollars to be distributed in her memory, in this case toward several things necessary for us to operate our canine unit. So the city will be receiving as a part of that endowment of that established endowment, approximately $250,000 to be used specifically for training, pet supplies needed for the service use, protective vests, health care, veterinary expenses, food, certain other expenses related to transporting the vehicle, and the purchase of additional canines when necessary. So as we spoke about earlier at our ceremony, we will be reestablishing a second canine unit. We're excited to move forward with that, and this is a very, very timely gift to the community.
Well, our thanks definitely go out to Irene Green for thinking of us in that way, because that is very, very generous.
Most generous.
Counsel?
Move to suspend?
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Move to approve?
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Ordinance number 24-0-068 has been approved. Next is resolution number 24-R-114.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to file an application and enter into an agreement with the Ohio Public Works Commission for the purpose of acquiring funds through the State Capital Improvement Program for the Mercantile Drive Concrete Roadway Replacement Project and declaring an emergency.
Ken?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Swigger, please.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. This resolution, along with the next two resolutions, are associated with the Ohio Public Works funding Round 39 applications that the city recently submitted, and we have been tentatively approved for funding on the Mercantile Drive roadway replacement project. as well as the Hoos Road resurfacing and Cannon Ridge Drive concrete road reconstruction project. But as far as Mercantile Drive concrete road replacement project, the project is expected to cost about $940,000 and will be partially funded with a $250,000 grant and $150,000 loan by the Ohio Public Works Commission. Project consists of full-depth concrete replacement and inlet basin reconstruction. As part of the process, it's necessary for the city manager to be authorized by city council to submit the final applications. Thank you.
Counsel?
Move to suspend?
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Move to approve?
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Resolution number 24-R-114 has been approved. Next is resolution number 24-R-115.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to file an application and enter into an agreement with the Ohio Public Works Commission for the purpose of acquiring funds through the State Capital Improvement Program for the Hoos Road resurfacing and Canyon Ridge Drive concrete road reconstruction project and declaring an emergency.
Kenny, anything further to add, or?
Mr. Swigger, yeah, talk a little bit about the project itself.
Sure. A few details. The project is expected to cost approximately $668,000, be partially funded with a $150,000 grant and a $150,000 loan through the Ohio Public Works Commission. Project will consist of full-depth asphalt pavement repairs, inlet basin adjustments, asphalt milling, overlay, and restriping of Hoos Road. The project also includes base repairs, base repair, and full-depth removal and replacement of concrete on Cannon Ridge Drive within the project limits. Thank you.
Counsel?
Move to suspend?
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Move to approve?
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 24-R-115 has been approved. Next is resolution number 24-R-116.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to file an application and enter into an agreement with the Ohio Public Works Commission for the purpose of acquiring funds through the State Capital Improvement Program for the Blossom Drive Storm Sewer Project and declaring an emergency.
Ken?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President, and without getting in too deep into details on it, this is a relatively small storm sewer project that would enlarge an 8-inch to a 12-inch pipe. We don't expect this project to be funded, but this is part of our engineering department's preparation for these type of projects. When we submit an application, even though we know this isn't likely to be funded, it allows us to get extra points next year when we reapply for the project. So good job is done by our staff to have these things ready to go, and it's been very effective for us in years past because we always take advantage of getting those extra points when we can. So nothing really further to add.
Great strategy.
Yeah.
Counsel?
Move to suspend?
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Move to approve?
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 24-R-116 has been approved. On second reading, we have ordinance number 24-0-060.
An ordinance amending the codified ordinances of the City of Mentor 2006 as amended and the official zoning map by rezoning of approximately 2.68 acres from N1 Light Manufacturing District to B2 General Business District at 79, 5865, and 5855 Heisley Road, parcel numbers 16B0640000070, 16B0650000001, and 002-0, providing for the submission of the ordinance to the electorate and declaring an emergency.
Ken? Anything new on this?
Thank you, Council. I would just say that I know that our planning director, Ken Tanzariti, has been in touch with the applicant for the rezoning. They've certainly taken to heart Council's concerns about ingress and egress onto the property there. and the, investigating whether or not a turn lane would be appropriate. Haven't really made any adjustments yet, but they're contemplating that. So I think I ask council to just simply read this and maybe take no action this evening.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I'd
Mr.
move
Kirkland.
to put this ordinance on third reading.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
yes,
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance number 24-0-060 will be on for a third reading at our next meeting. Third readings, we have none. Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. First of all, council, we want to thank all of those, everyone who turned out this evening for the wonderful ceremony honoring our K-9 Achilles that had been mentioned earlier, especially all the neighboring police departments in the region who came out, with many with their own K-9 dogs in support. It's a very close-knit community. They train together, they work together, and they really draw off of each other's expertise. So we appreciate their show of appreciation at the loss of our animal. Council, all asphalt streets in this year's road program have been paved with the exception of Menor Avenue, the areas from Center Street to Garfield, and State Route 84 east of Center Street. Milling and paving work for these streets will be performed at night, and that should be beginning this evening. Milling is scheduled to start tonight, and we expect that it'll take probably 3 evenings for completion. There are pavement repairs and inlet basin repairs that are taking place during the day between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. There's quite a bit of construction work happening at the Menor Marina. Contractors have now started construction of the new permeable paver parking lot along the new gas dock area. Work will start tomorrow on the reconstruction of D&E dock roads in the area in front of the boat ramp and bridge, and interior work is moving forward very nicely. The new kayak multi-purpose building. So a lot of activity out there. Should be hitting the spring with some exciting new improvements out there. Council, the inaugural Headlands Birding Festival will take place from September 20th to the 22nd at Headlands Beach State Park. The event will celebrate the fall migration of bird species as they travel to their wintering grounds as far away as South America. The Headlands Menor Marsh region hosts some of the highest diversity and volume of migratory birds in the state, with 352 species documented in Lake County. There will be presentations on bird identification, migrations, and related topics, and there are a couple of high-profile personalities that will be involved in the event. Jim McCormick, who is the author of Birds of Ohio and a renowned nature photographer, will give a keynote speech at our Springbrook Garden House on Friday night. And Greg Miller, who is known for breaking the record for the most bird species seen in North America in a single year, will give the keynote speech on Saturday night. Mr. Miller's record-breaking year was actually adapted into the film The Big Year, starring Jack Black and Owen Wilson. So participation from a wide range of experience and interest levels is welcome as well. So we're looking forward to that. The Headlands I will also mention that the festival is hosted by Headlands Beach State Park, Lake Metro Parks, City of Menor, Cleveland Museum of Natural History, the Blackbrook Audubon Society, Tour Lake County, and Friends of Headland Beach State Park. So exciting new event for our residents to take part in. Council, we're also proud that our city has once again gotten word that our 2023 annual comprehensive financial report received the Auditor State Award with distinction from State Auditor Faber's office. As you already know, this is the highest and best award possible for a municipality to receive, and an indication of essentially a clean audit report. So kudos to Mr. Malinowski and his staff, who work very, very hard to make sure that, no penny goes unnoticed of our taxpayer dollars. So we appreciate their efforts. And finally, Council, we have 2 new businesses to announce in our city. Whistle Express Car Wash at 7350 Palisades Parkway, and Enterprise Controls Group at 7840 Tyler Boulevard. We thank them for their investment here, and we wish them wonderful success going forward. That's all.
Good to hear about that bird event. I mean, that's
It's pretty
You'd be
exciting.
surprised
actually.
how well
It'll be a
attended these
very,
things
very
are.
well
President, I
attended.
think we all got a tweet on that.
Oh, wow.
Pretty good.
Jeez.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Mr. Flipiak, Mr. Legarsik, excellent job with the quarterly report that came out. I encourage everyone to strongly read it. There's always a lot of good little articles or segments in here. And the one that I liked the best was called The Sign of Time, since it is a presidential election year, and it talks about election signs and where they can be placed. And I encourage all the residents to strongly take a look at it, so it's
We
right there in
encourage them
front
to
of
strongly take a look at it.
Exactly. Every 4 years, it's a
Yeah.
problem. It's quite hideous sometimes. But great job, thank you.
Thank you. I'll pass that along.
All right, thanks, Ken. Clerk correspondence.
Nothing to report.
Nothing, okay. Commission committee reports. Council, you're in receipt of the meeting minutes from the Community Arts Commission dated July 11th, 2024. The Board of Building and Zoning Appeals dated August 13th, 2024. The Municipal Planning Commission, August 15th, 2024. Old business, council? Hearing none. New business.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr.
I've received a number of calls and emails and inquiries from my neighbors as to what's going on at Lake County Executive Airport, formerly known as Lost Nation Airport. About the last, I don't know, month, has been a raising of airplanes flying in and out of there doing training. And last week or so, it's been every 5 or 10 minutes doing landings and takeoffs and full throttle over the houses of the neighboring neighbors, mostly to the east. I inquired with the Lake County, the manager of the airport, and she said that the FAA says they can do whatever they want, basically 24 hours a day there. The training people are at the training school there, and a lot of them are students, college students are rushing to get back to school. But it's disappointing when you live there, and for every 5 or 10 minutes, a plane is flying over at full throttle, 7 days a week. The quality of life has been diminished greatly as a result of this. And she said that the airport's going to have one of the runways going to be closed for another 33 days. So get used to it, basically. So for those out there watching, you know what's going on. It's disappointing that there was no notification that this was going to take place. But we've been down this road before with the FAA. We've met with them in Washington, D.C. over issues. But I suspect that Bruce Landing is sitting down there in Corpus Christi with a smile on his face telling me, I told you so. So, thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Question for the administration and certainly the police chief and possibly the fire chief. I know that we have a drone that is used for law enforcement, and I know that drone technology is rapidly developing. I'm sort of curious as to how the administration stays on top, and specifically the safety forces, on developing technology, and specifically, is there any consideration to acquiring some of these new drones? I know there's civil liberties concerns about some of their capabilities, but I understand that they can break windows, open doors, night vision, heat vision. But I think properly deployed and used, I think could certainly be an important asset for probably both departments. Everybody's seen what's going on in Ukraine, and that's translating to a lot of development in that space for a host of reasons. But I was sort of curious as what the administration, if any, has its thoughts or what work has been done in that space.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman Freeman. So I will say that several of our departments, including both the police and fire departments, have already adopted and use very regularly drone technology. With certainly, and I'll let both chiefs speak for themselves, but I can give you at least one example. At the mobile home park shooting last year, we were able to utilize the drone technology to enter the structure where that particular shooter was to confirm his status, and rather than having to send somebody in a scenario like that, Our fire department uses drone technology during active fire scenarios. Certainly, we use them as surveillance technology as needed. Chief Gunch, do you want to offer a couple of comments, and Chief Searles as well?
Yes, thank you. We are part of the Lake County Drone Team. They have members from all different departments and the fire departments that participate in that unit. We have 4 members of our police department that's on that unit. We house a few different kind of drones here at our department, so if we need them rapidly for suspect search or missing person search or anything with the fire department, we have them at our hands really quickly. We have the small ones, we have bigger ones, and the drone team that's operated out of Willoughby Fire Department, they have an extensive amount of drones, and some of those funded through the fire department, and some's funded through Lake County Narcotics. But we really are staying on top of the technology that's there. Obviously, it changes rapidly, and we're staying up on that. I was just speaking with Captain Valley, one of our members that's on that team, talking about infrared and night vision kind of stuff with the drone, and we're looking into that right now.
Thank you. Chief Gonch and the city manager kind of summed up our regional team that we have here in the county. It's an asset that we've used regularly. It's mostly for surveillance, but as you said, as technology changes, so do the capabilities. So I expect us to enhance our abilities with that increased technology for drone use, but it's a program that we currently have access to. We're part of that team, and the technology has been good and the capabilities are increasing, so we'll employ those capabilities. Thanks.
Thank you.
Just add to that too, to the extent that police agencies will be allowed to have access to tactical type of technology that could be used for some of the examples that you offered. We keep an eye on that, but again, usually it takes a little while before that's made available for even public safety purposes, and certainly not civilian uses, but we'll stay on top of it.
Thank you.
Mr. President? I just want to make everyone aware, I've been getting a lot of calls on the new cell tower by Vitalia, and I called the owner of the tower, and he said that they're going to have that up and running between the October 8th and the 18th. They had to bore some wires from 615 and all kind of other things, so that tower should be up and running between the 8th and the 18th of October, just to make everybody aware.
So then we could expect to see better coverage for our cell phones in that
Yeah.
area?
Yeah,
How
because
beautiful.
there's none now.
Yeah, that's like a dark
It is.
zone for my work phone.
He knows.
Yeah, okay. All right. Persons before council, I see we have none. Anybody want to adjourn this
Move to
thing?
adjourn.
Second?